Hi everybody, it's Lene. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. We are continuing our holiday gift giving series. So I've got a brand new paperback from Paper Wishes, hot off the press, called Forest Magic. We're going to take a look at that soon. And I also stopped by my local Dollar Tree and I got this pad that is like calendar Monday through Sunday that you just sort of jot notes on, daily notes for the week. I love this. It was $1.50. We're going to add this in, and then we're also going to be using a file folder, which is the most versatile craft base for making things than I can imagine. We've done so many things. If you want to see more things that I've done, just look at my playlists on my homepage under file folders, and hopefully you'll find something you like. All right, so let's take a look at this fantastic paper pack, Forest Magic. This is very wintry. This is very mountain range. It's very Pacific Northwest, okay? It just is. But look at these animals. They're wearing little winter sweaters. Is that adorable? The blues, the greens, the browns, even this shade of like mauve burgundy in there. That's why I think this is going to go so well with this. And I got this in the office section, so definitely dig through your stuff. You might have to go to several Dollar Trees. I bought this 1 week ago in my Dollar Tree in Oregon. So I don't know, but we're also going to do lots of other things in this file folder. So if you can't find this, it's okay. I got you. We're gonna fill this thing up. Let me show you my inspiration before we look through the rest of this. All right. This is super, super basic with the file folder. It's really not about the file folder. The file folder is going to be our container. And then we're going to put things in it, okay? On the other side, we're going to do some like very, very basic handmade cards with envelopes. Put that in there. We're also going to do like a little mini journal. We're going to put that in there. We're going to leave a little spot down here to maybe add a book of stamps. When you're done with this, which will not take you long, okay, you'll have a complete gift to give to a friend, all right? And I think one you'd like to receive. I'd like to receive it. So this is our base. Like I said, it's really not about this today. It's more about everything else. All right, so let's look at the paperback. All right, so on the back side, beautiful, sort of a beautiful medium blue barn wood, and then it's got the trees on it. And then look at the bear, and then up here, and the little cabin, and all the beautiful green trees. And then we've got what I guess is a wolf, and a fox, and an owl. And then the green painted wood. And then these, we call these card toppers. So you cut them out. I always forget to measure them. So they are about 4 by 5.5. And you cut them out, and they're great for little inserts in your journals and things like that, but they're also great to just put on top of cards and make really quick cards. And then we've got some that are horizontal. There's this one too. On the back, more barnwood with the great tree line. Okay, another whole set. This one's, I think, a little bit more feminine. It's got lots of flowers on it with the fox and stuff. So great alternative for, you know, the guys and the girls in this paper pack. And then all these fantastic cutouts for greetings. Okay, so I'm really going to try to make this project that it's not specific to this paper. I'm really hoping that you guys can take these ideas and use what you have, okay? That's my plan. So let's first start with another idea, actually. Okay. So I have a short video on how to coffee dye paper on my channel, and I'll link that at the end of this video if you want to take a look at it. It's really, really easy. I think we might do that with some of the journal pages, primarily because it just looks awesome in the color and the variation, okay? But it smells great too, okay? It's gonna make your gift just smell like coffee. It's gonna be great. You can also use this with like flavored teas. So you could like take your tea bags and steep them till they're really, really dark tea. You'll get a much lighter color, but your paper is going to smell like delicious mint tea. Okay, so yeah, that's an idea. But I took that a step further, and I took my file folder and I just dipped this in coffee in the same manner that I did in the video with the paper, okay? The only difference is I like to dry papers in the oven, and I show you how to do that. You can do it on your kitchen counter. You just have to have a lot of counter space, and you have to be willing to wait, 24 or plus hours for it to dry. So don't be alarmed in how I dry it. You can dry it your way. I just showed you how. I dried this one in the oven, and I usually do like 3 to 4 sheets of paper when I'm drying it in the oven at a time. I just dipped these and did one of these at a time in my oven. And it just took maybe, I don't know, just like a couple of minutes. It was really, really quick. And then once you get most of it dry, you can then take it out, let it kind of get it to like 90%, and then you can let it just dry while you're doing the rest of your craft. So yeah, we are going to use this one for the craft. If you don't want to coffee dye them or anything else, this is what it'll look like, okay? And I'll refer to this while I'm working with this. So those of you who don't want to coffee dye, I'll get you there, okay? All right, our very first thing is we need to have a file folder that has the tab at the top, all right? Or you can have one that has the tab at the bottom. Let me show you this. Like that. All right. Now, you're just going to turn it like this so the tab's up here. Now, what if you have this is now going to be on the outside? All right. That's okay. It's going to get covered. It doesn't matter at all. All right. So we want the tab at the top. All right. And I have this situation with my coffee dyed one. All right, so I'm going to just turn it like that. And now this is right here on the back. It's totally fine. All right, now we're going to take the bottom of the folder and we're going to mark this. We're going to do 2.5 inch fold up. All right, and the best way to do that, you can mark it all the way across with your ruler if you want. And we're just, and it's okay if it's like 2 3/4 of an inch, 2 5/8 of an inch. You just don't want it to be less than 2.5 inches. Otherwise, the books and things that we have going on here won't fit. But it's okay if it's a little taller than that. And I'm just going to go all the way across to make sure this is even. Just going to use my ruler as a bone folder. Okay. So now that's 2.5 inches all the way across. Let's write that down. Where's my other pen? There we go. We want the tab at top right. And then you're going to fold bottom 2.5 inches. All right, the next thing we're going to do is, okay, this is pretty much what's happening with our little folder, but it's just too big, okay? We want it to be a little bit more compact so it's not floppy. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace this score line that's just automatically done here. Now, some of you are going to have these little lines right here. These are traditional office supply folders where they expand, okay, depending on how much you put in them. Some of you, if you get them at the Dollar Tree, or if you get them, they're more decorative purposes, they're just meant to literally hold a few sheets of paper, then you may not have these lines. That's fine. We're not going to use these lines at all. So that's actually preferable. All right. So we're going to take our scoreboard, which is buried under a pile of things as usual. All right. And now I'm going to do something a little strange. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to put this part, this tab, that is going to be squared up right here. And from that tab edge, we're going to measure over, okay? We're going to measure 7 inches from the tab, and we're going to score right down there. Now, if you don't have a scoreboard, that's fine. Use a ruler. Okay, use a ruler, use like a butter knife, and then instead of using a scoreboard, put it on a magazine or some kind of, or stack of newspapers even, something that will have a little give on it. And then you're just going to use it like this, just to get a depressed line or a line put into this, okay? So if you don't have a scoreboard, no worries. All right, and then we're going to take this at 7 inches and we're going to go down. Now when we get to this part down at the bottom where we have the pocket, you do have to just really kind of lean into that because we want to at least get through some of that. And then I'm going to turn it over. Okay, and you see it's still, this tab is still up against this part. And then we're going to go back over it, that 7 inches, and we're going to go through that pocket part just to make sure we've got it. And what the heck, we'll go all the way down. So we're just scoring it on both sides just to make sure it goes through because file folders are heavyweight. All right, so now we can just fold this like that. And we're going to make another score line. So we're just going to go ahead and do that there so you guys can see it really well. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn mine over so you can see it better. And now we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Or 7.5 inches. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. 7.5 inches. So that there's a 1/2 inch between. That's pretty thick, right? Well, we're going to put a lot of stuff in here. So we're going to turn this over. Make sure this tab is right there. We're measuring 7.5 inches from this tab. Okay. And now we're going to fold there as well. Okay. So now I'm going to write that down. So we're going to turn to the back. Oh, wait a minute. That was my notes before. All right, so now we're going to write this down. We're going to do turn over. And you're going to do 7 inches and then 7 1/2. Okay? Now we have this nice little kind of spine on our book right there, so we can fill it with all kinds of cool stuff. Now we have this piece right here. We want to get rid of the rest of this. So what's the easiest way to do that? Well, I'm going to measure just from this side. That's 6.5 inches. We're not including the tab, okay? So we'd measure 6.5 inches over. Right here. And we're just going to put a little mark at 6.5 inches. There we go. Oops. And then I'm going to use my paper trimmer to trim off that excess. And then don't throw this away. I don't know what we'll do with it. Well, we might do something with it. All right, so that's how it's looking, okay? So we have this nice edge here, and then over here, we've got this nice little tab. We're gonna round the corners of that. And then if you have those little, you know, expandable lines on your file folder, like I mentioned before, that's okay. They're mostly gonna get covered up. It's gonna be fine. I'm going to do the same thing now to my coffee dyed one, and I'll show you what they look like. All right, so I have my coffee dye one done, and now I'm going to take a little corner rounder punch. I like this one from EK Success. It's really basic, really simple to use, and this you can find in my Amazon store. And I'm just going to do this here. Through the layers of the pockets right there. just like that. And then when you get to, let's see, how did I do this one? Yeah, when you get up here to the top, you can just round that little piece over if you would like, or you can just leave it, okay? So that makes a nice difference, I think, just rounding those corners. And then we can do the same to the paper. Now, this is the one I have chosen because I really like this handsome guy right here. And what I like to do is I like to leave a border of this beautiful coffee dyed paper. So since it has a nice border on it, I mean a nice color on it, I don't feel like I need to add an extra layer of paper or do any inking on this. If, however, you're doing this from a plain color one, I would just take a little bit of cocoa bean, or you could also use a nice green color, okay? And then maybe I'll do this one in green. And then just going around the edges. Now, of course, this one I have not. Oh, let's do the one that I like actually rounded the corners on, Lene. All right, this is my prototype. So just a little bit of color on the edge. And I'll put both the brown and the green color in my Paper Wishes supplies down below the video. And that's where you can find the paper pack and the inks and things like that. All right, so let's take a look what this looks like with just that little bit of green around it. You see, it just kind of makes it a little bit more special and just adds almost like a shadow of just color right there. Makes it pop a little bit. You don't have to do either if you don't want to use ink at all. All right, so I'm using this little border, and then what I like to do is maybe I'll leave a little bit wider border because I really do like the coffee. And then I like to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead on this one and have it go right up to the edge. Instead of just having a border on all 4 sides, it's going to have a border on 3 sides. So let me measure that here where I put my little mark. That's about just about 6 3/8 of an inch of paper. And I know my paper cutter's upside down. You do you. All right. See, that's going to go just like that. It's going to go flush on this side. And we'll move this up a little bit. And we're going to mark that right about there. And I'll give you the dimensions on this when we're all done. All right. And now I'm going to round this corner and this corner. Okay, that's going to go right there. So where did I put my little measurement thingy? Oh, here it is. All right, so that's going to be 6 1/4 by 8 1/2. And then we can do this for the front and back, or I gotta write this down before I forget. Okay, so here's our that doesn't look like that one. There we go. There's our measurement so far. Screenshot that if you need to. So you could, if you coffee dyed, leave that back. You could put no paper on it whatsoever. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. We could just do something right here to cover that line. And then you could add this, but I think I'm going to add a little green, just as a little variation right here on this paper. Just put a little shadow on that edge. You don't have to do this part. Okay, that's going to go right there. We're going to glue that on. I'm using my favorite paper glue, which is Cosmic Shimmer Specialist Acrylic Glue. And this is in my Paper Wishes store down below the video. You could use a tape runner. You could use your favorite glue. A little bit around the middle. There we go. Actually, I want to make sure that this part along the edge here really gets good. And then the corners right here, those get the most wear because that's where people are really turning the pages on things. So there we go. All right, so that's what we're gonna do on this cover part. We're gonna wait to do the rest until we know what's happening in here. But now we can take paper and we can do a nice little border across the bottom. Because I have dyed this, I'm just gonna leave this. This is pretty, it smells great. But if you're using a plain one, you can take paper like this, and you know, I would encourage you to keep any border or anything along the bottom, but just tucking paper like that inside of these pockets for the back makes it look really, really nice, okay? So you could absolutely do that for sure. So let me grab some paper to put along the border. All right, I'm choosing this really cute bear down here, and I did trim off, let's see how much, 5/8 of an inch from the bottom, because I want to cut him down to 2.5 inches wide, and I just don't want to miss any part of that cute little bear. I don't want to cut his head off or anything like that. So we're going to do 2.5 inch wide strip. And that's going to go, oh, not quite. I need more than that. I'm glad I checked. So probably 2 3/8. Let's try this. Come on. Yeah, that's better. So 2 3/8 of an inch. And then we're going to just put that right just before this fold line in the center. In fact, so you guys can see these better, let's just put a little ink on here. This is just a little black ink. This is that 7 inch and 7.5 inch line that we scored and folded. There, can you see that better? Okay. So we're going to put this little bear kind of right between there. So we have a really cute pocket. So let me just do my little border thing right there, and then we'll give you the measurements. Okay, so this little strip that's gonna go right here is, okay, it's 2 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I'm gonna turn this over. So 2 1/4 by 6 1/4. And you're gonna need 2 of those. All right, so I've rounded the corners on each one of these pieces, inked the edges. This one, I had to round the top part right here because it had a little notch in it, and then glued those down. And then I've gone ahead and I've glued this side of the pocket down, the center side, the center of the pocket. And now we're just gonna add a little glue because I've already done this part and I forgot to show you. This part right here. And then this little center strip was just like a scrap I had left over from trimming paper down. And it is 3/8 of an inch wide by 9 inches tall. This whole thing is 9 1/8 of an inch tall. So just a little bit shorter than that. Glued that down. All right, so here's where we are so far. Little pockets. And now we're going to take that cute little Dollar Tree gem that I found. The $1.50 tree, I suppose now. It's okay. It's worth $1.50 because we didn't have to make something like this, right? And then this, of course, is just going to slip right in here because Lene measured so good. gotta say I was sweating that a little bit. All right, so first of all, doesn't that look pretty? Okay, it looks like it matches, right? Okay, and we're gonna open that up, and don't forget, we have a whole other pocket that we're gonna add things to, and we're gonna do something over here as well. I wanted to give you the measurement of this pad in case you can't find this one and you want to use something else. This is 6 by 9. Now you could use something smaller like this, and then you could actually use some of the paper and just use it, take it out of the plastic, of course, use one of the pads, and you could just on the front of one of the blank pads cut down this paper so it had something nice on the front page, so that when it was kind of hanging over the pocket, it would be a nice presentation, okay? It would look like complete with the rest of things. So if you can't find this, no worries, you can easily substitute it with something else. I just got excited about this because this is something that I personally would use. All right, so remember, another thing, remember all of these are the pieces of paper that we had left over. This is the one that had, I think, the bear at the bottom, and this is what we had left over from the front cover. These two pieces, remember they had these on the back. We're gonna make a couple of really easy cards with envelopes to go in here. Now, if you're not a card maker, if you are a card maker, just hold tight, fast forward through this part. But yeah, this is just really basic for beginners. So I'm going to take this piece right here. This is a 5 by 6.5 inch blank card. It comes with envelopes, and you can get these at paperwishes.com. You can get them in packs of 10, you can get them in packs of 20, 30, and I'll put the link for these, okay? And the Paper Wishes supplies. The easiest way, I know, you could leave a nice little border like that around your card, but the easiest way is to just take some glue, put it directly on the card. Remember, we're getting those corners really well because those get the most handling. All the way around. You don't need a lot of glue. Like that through the center. And we're going to take the corner, so we don't have to do any trimming, and we're just going to align the fold of the card and the bottom of the card. Just make sure it's aligned, and we're going to turn that over. Get all that glue. And kind of the worst thing you can use is too much glue. You don't want glue seeping out, but you do want to make sure that you get all of those corners and things. And I don't know where my paper scissors are, so I'm going to break my own rule and use my fabric ones. Don't tell my daughter. Okay. Just like that. That's a card. You've made a card. Now we've got this little piece left over, and it's a nice sort of contrasting paper. So I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take a little bit of black ink. You do not have to do this step. We're just leveling it up a little bit with a little ink. This little applicator tool and the black ink I'm using, I'll put the black and green ink, remember, in the Paper Wishes supplies. And then, once I said, we're leveling it up a little bit. We're just putting a little shadow along that cut edge. It just makes it look like it was always like this. It doesn't, it makes it look like you bought this. Just by putting that edge, finishes it out just a little bit. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little line of glue. I think my glue is, yep, my glue is been sitting without the cap on it too long. I'm just going to put a little line of glue right here, all the way to the edge. And we're going to put that right there. Okay, and then I have to find what I was looking for next. Here we go. Oh yeah, these little greetings, you guys. They come in the sheet in the paper pack. Okay, a lot of paper packs come with these. You can just put happy birthday right there. Why would you give someone a blank happy birthday card? My sort of inspiration for this whole project are for people who have trouble getting out and buying their own cards and things like that. I'm thinking of my mom and dad. They would have really loved something like this, something to help them keep track of the days and their appointments, just in a small weekly manner. And then several cards like this with stamps included that they could then take and send. So yeah, that's my inspiration. Now you can just do this. We're gonna make some more, but you just slide this in here and then they're gonna have some cards. I'm gonna make 3 different kinds with envelopes because, stick around to the end, I love giving my projects away. So stay tuned for the details on that. We're almost done. Here is my other card here. Just covered that with a little cabin, some of the green paper from the opposite side of this, just a little like 1 1/4 inch strip. I inked the edges, you don't have to. And then I just glued this little greeting right there, pairing that with an envelope. We're gonna put that in there. And then for the last one here, I covered my card with the green paper on the back, trimmed down, remember these little card toppers we saw at the very beginning, glued that to the center, and then I thought, why not use a little sticker? So we've got these great little Dazzle stickers that are so nice, and I thought I would just do one for thanks because I needed a short word. So we're gonna put that right there. It's kind of overlapping, but that's okay. That's gonna go in here as well. Then another one of those little card toppers, great place to add a little note for your gift. We're gonna put that there. And then we talked about putting stamps here. Initially I was gonna put the stamps here, but then, you know, they could get lost, they could get forgotten. So we're gonna just take one of the little cutouts from the cutout page. We're gonna just put it on this side. And we're going to just put glue on 2 sides of it. So it's right here. Okay, it's leaving the top and this side open, and when that is dry, we can add a little book of stamps. I'm just gonna tuck it right there so it doesn't get attached to the glue. We're gonna let that dry. All right, so now we're also gonna take just a little strip here that I had left over. And that's a 1/2 inch wide. Let's ink the edges of that. Okay, just a little black. This is so like dry that it's just kind of gray actually. And then I'm just gonna put some glue directly here. And we're gonna put that right there. And we're going to trim that. Let's just go all the way to the top edge. I was gonna leave a border, but we'll just go all the way to the top. And then ideally, we'll take all this stuff out. We're going to turn this over and we're going to just trim that even at this edge. There we go. And then we can just add another one of these little stickers. These are from Paper Wishes. I'm going to add these down below. They're just brown. We call these brown script greeting Dazzle stickers. We could put I love you on here. We could do hello. We could do with love. Congrats. I think with love. This is made with love. And you get all of these stickers in a pack. It's very nice to have for your card making and your paper crafting. Sometimes they just add the bright little sentiment that you need. These are just vinyl stickers. Okay, put that back. Last thing is, I think that's dry enough. We can put that right there so that they can see that they're stamps and they can find them. So I decided I'm just going to take a single sheet of my coffee dyed paper to make my little book in case you don't want to make yours out of coffee dyed paper. So I'm going to take that. And I'm going to take, probably 4 sheets of just regular 8.5 by 11 copy paper. Okay, let's do another one. And this is going to be the outer part of our little book. Well, I mean, I guess it's not the outer part. It's the inside pages. All right, and so this is 11 inches long, so we're going to cut it to 5.5 inches. Just do a little math. Cut this down. It's going to go like that. And then we're going to take these 4 papers, hold them all together. 5.5. All right. And then what we can do with that is we can put some on the inside and some on the outside. And then you can just fold these together. And we're going to make a nice little cover for them. It's at this point where I like to make sure that I've used my bone folder on these edges right here, the folded edges. If you go over those with your bone folder before you put your book together, it's going to compress that fold and just make that binding part just a little bit more compact. And as I said, you do not need to use the coffee dyed papers. You could just use the white copy paper, printer paper, or you could use some patterned paper. That would be really nice. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and cut down. These are our measurements that we're working on. The papers that we just cut are 5.5 by 8 inches. The cover is going to be 5 and 3/4 by 8 and 3/4. That's just giving a little extra room at the top and accommodating for the fold, okay, that we had in those papers. It makes it a little bulkier. So we're going to go 5 and 3/4. And then the reason I'm using this paper is I really like this fox, and he is going to just fold right over and be on the front cover. So we're going to cut from this side, and we want to do 8 and 3/4 on this side. There we go. And I think he would be really cute to add on the inside front cover. So now we're just going to fold that. Just aligning those edges on the right. There you go. And then let's go ahead and round these because we did that everywhere else. And I don't think we'll have to round these papers because of the, we have to do a little bit. Silly me. Now we have to round papers. That's okay. We can hold like a bunch of these at a time. And I think you'll see it really does add a nice little touch if you can round them. Just like that. I'm holding like 3 pages at a time. This is also a great time where we could add like a little stenciling to these pages. Why don't we do that too? As long as we're taking the effort. I'm going to do that. All right, stenciling with my very favorite doily stencil from Paper Wishes Hot Off the Press. And I'm just going to take it and overlap it like that. And remember the green ink that we used. You could use the green, you could use the brown, whatever you'd like. And I'm just going to do this on the like front, just like a couple of pages throughout, just to make this kind of special. And I'm not even doing like a particularly great, careful job. We're just going over it kind of like this, just to give it a little hint of that. And then I'm going to skip a couple pages and do it like this. I'm not even re-inking. And you can do this with like any size of journal. I have lots of journals in my journal playlist, and I've done this technique before, And it's just, I think it adds so much when you're making a little handmade journal. Okay, just like that. I'm just going to do 3. And then we're going to go back here. One of these will go here. And then here. And here, and then the centerpiece. Like that. So as you flip through it, you'll just see those little stenciled pages every once in a while. So maybe you can use that on another project too. Oh, so many like little pieces of paper. All right, so that's going to fit in there really nicely because remember we made the outer cover just a little bit larger. Now here's the thing. If you have a standard size stapler, this is not going to reach all the way, okay? Because remember that this is now it's 4.5 inches, okay, with the folds and everything. So this is what you can do to accommodate. You can take some ribbon and wrap it around here and tie it right here. That really makes a nice gift idea. Or you can use this stapler, and when you go into making your project, just trim it all down by 1 inch from the width. That's how you can accommodate that. And I'm just going to be using my swivel stapler. This is in my Amazon store. I love it. I use it all the time for like small binding projects. It's about $8 and it's great if you're mass producing things for Christmas. So we're just going to do this. You have to actually, you don't have to staple it on the outside. I like the pokey part of the staples to go on the inside. If they're on the outside, they can catch on clothes and sweaters and snag and things like that. So I like to do this. And because this is even so small, I'm just gonna like take this and just take couple little clamps, paper clips, whatever you have. These are just actually sitting on my desk, so we'll use these. Okay, and then the swivel stapler, it goes like this. So now you can go over something like this. I'm just gonna go about an inch in. Right on that binding. And we're going to go about an inch in. There we go. Here's our little book. Cute, right? A little notebook. And you could just add this right in there as well. Look at that. What a nice gift. What a nice presentation. Open it up. Oh, look at that. Days of the week. I can stay organized. Oh, look at this. A cute little book that you've made me. Oh, it's a journal. Oh, a little notebook. That's so great. Oh, you've included stamps. How thoughtful. And what are these? Oh, a little note card with a personal note from you. And you've made me cards as well. This is wonderful. And they're going to go through these. Oh, I left the other envelope in there. So you guys, I hope you get a chance to make this. I think it would be a lovely gift for a friend, for an older relative, and any time of the year. This isn't just for Christmas. Change up the papers, and you can be great for spring or any birthday. I'm going to give this away, as I always do on all my videos, to one of my subscriber friends. So how does that work? We ask that you, I forgot to tell you, I also covered the back. We ask that you like, comment, and subscribe here at Lene Creates. And then you have to watch next week's video to see the pop-up. You may have noticed it in this week's video. That was announcing the winner of last week's giveaway. I guess it's a prize, last week's giveaway. And then when you see it and you're watching next week's video, you follow the instructions about claiming it. You have to do it within 7 days. I can't keep records with people claiming them a month later. You got to do it in 7 days. And then we will send it to you in a little happy mail. Now this is going to be a nice heavy one. And my sister-in-law Carrie and I, we pay for all the shipping. So if you would be so inclined and you would like to make a donation to Lene Creates to help with the shipping, we'd like to make our giveaways completely free to those who win them. So you could do the buy a cup of coffee down below the video, or also the super thanks would be awesome. Any amount helps. 100% of that money goes towards our shipping expenses, and it really helps our channel, you guys. Also, if you want to follow me on my other social media, especially during the holidays, I like to do new little videos of things that I am working on for my own craft projects, and they're just little reels and things like that. So that'd be awesome if you follow me along there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, watch next week's video and see who won. Like, comment, and subscribe today. Watch next week to see who wins this. All right, see you guys. Bye.